What's up, social media? So today is episode 96, not quite 100, and we're at the end of 2022. So this bottoms up perspective is going to make 100 episodes. So hey, I know you miss our crew. So here's Eldrick, Jeremy C, and Jen. So we're all here tonight. So
Yay.
it's been a minute. So let's just catch up and let's just talk about what we've all been up to, right? Because we're all celebrities. We've done 96 episodes since the pandemic, and you all missed us, right?
I wouldn't say
If
we
you
are
are sick of
celebrities.
Zelensky's address to Congress, you can listen to this little one here that's more lighthearted, I guess.
Hey, Brenda, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining, Brenda. I wouldn't really call ourselves celebrities, Kevin. I think we are pretty far from that in our own world, yeah.
We learn how to cushion the impact after falling from grace since the pandemic, I think.
Yeah. So for those of you who are new to the Bottoms Up show, right? You haven't followed us because we've been kind of quiet. So Jeremy, Eldrick, and I, they're all the way in Singapore. So, thousands of miles away from Kansas City. And I connected with them through LinkedIn. And we decided pretty much, hey, I was looking for a way to do a show where East meets West and just talk about random topics, right? And so we navigated our journey right after the day they announced that, hey, President Trump at the time in the US announced that, hey, this is a global pandemic. And then we started the show. So we weren't one of those people who started the show because we had nothing to do just because of a pandemic, right? We started the show out of wanting to start a live show, and then the pandemic hit us. So it wasn't a plan, So we pretty much went really strong every Wednesday consistently throughout the entire pandemic. We didn't miss a beat, right? And we even did a live show for, I think, was it 4 hours? 4 hours straight.
No, more than 4 hours, but I
think
think
it was 8 hours.
It was YouTube that dropped off. They couldn't record more than 4, so we only had on record.
No, it's not
4 hours,
that.
something like
We had copyright issues with Timothy's DJing,
Music.
so we had to edit it off. I think the final version is about 3 hours 20 minutes something.
Yeah, so I think we were one of the longest live shows on at the time. We did just to test out the StreamYard platform if it did it, and even StreamYard's marketing director, she came on, and there was a bunch of guests that a lot of you probably see now. They're all way more popular than me, Jeremy, and Eldrick. Their podcasts live on. And ours kind of died, like Travis and all these, heavy hitters on LinkedIn, especially when it comes to live shows. They were on our live show, so we were one of the originals, and
Yay!
So I think today we just want to hop on and just kind of catch up for those of you who want to say hi. But it's actually more for ourselves, right? Because on LinkedIn, we've learned it's a great way to connect and make friends. And I've never met Eldrick and Jeremy in person, neither has Jen, but we've grown to become, they're some of our closer friends actually, but they're across seas. And we all met just on LinkedIn and we did live shows, we've done business together, and just doing life together. Yeah.
Off live chit chat.
Yep. Gossip together, complain, and everything. So let's start with Eldrick. So Eldrick, what have you been up to the last couple months?
I don't know. I mean, I'm looking forward to the end of the year actually. Been doing a lot of things. I mean, if you're on Medium, you can see my stuff every day. I'm not that active on LinkedIn anymore because I think the kind of content genre is starting to annoy me, I guess. People are getting a lot more. It used to be professional come personal, and then it turned into personal come professional, and then the professional part wins away, and then now it's all very personal. And I thought like it's no different from checking a social media platform like my wife that's checking Instagram, or maybe my ex-girlfriends that's checking Instagram or TikTok or whatsoever. So I'm off that. Apart from that, my day job things have happened because I joined this company. It's a middle scale tech software company, but now they just went through one round of release, anticipating something more drastic next year, I think. Um, Learn how to understand and engage with the company's private directors. A lot of things kept me very busy. And then, of course, planning for next year. I have 2 online courses that I'm doing now on top of my day job and my ventures and the writing.
Oh,
Um, yeah, so I think 2022 is a very fruitful year. Although it's a zigzag year, I think for many people it's a zigzag year. So maybe people got out of a pandemic, they got a job, and then they have people getting released, and then they have a pay cut, and so on and so forth. But I don't know. I think it's not that bad for me. It's not that bad.
What about you, Jeremy?
but before me, I thought Audrey, I thought you dropped out of LinkedIn because it was more of salesy. It's more really a platform where people try to sell things now more than
I
anything
have
else.
nothing against sales. I just think that no, seriously, I have nothing against sales. I just think that it's still where opportunities exist. It's just um, you don't. I how should I say this? I just think that it's not that obvious anymore. I mean, like, I always appreciate people being transparent. Like, hey, I can tell you're here for a transaction, and I might be interested maybe 3 months later because now I have something on. But now
Hmm.
it's like everyone is masquerading, if that's the word. Like, are you even doing that? I don't know. So if you don't, and there's nothing in it for me, and it's all about you and your personal stuff, I think,
Uh,
nah, not for me.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So a little bit about me. It's been a change. I didn't broadcast this on LinkedIn just because I wasn't sure if I was gonna keep the job. But I did switch to a new job, new role, new industry. Well, just stay in touch on my LinkedIn profile. One day I might jump in and just broadcast that I've moved myself to a different company. It's kind of in a way, it's a step up for me because instead of looking after Asia Pacific, it's kind of like a global role for marketing, and it's just been a very, very busy ride since middle of August when I switched, because we're doing some sort of global rebranding. So that's kept me busy. And I think on the personal front, part of the reason I'm on leave today is really because my daughters went through the national examinations from primary school, switching over to secondary school. So that period was a bit trying for my wife because I was out traveling, and then my daughter had to take the major examination. So we're at the stage right now whereby today I'm on leave to straight after this broadcast. We'll be bringing my daughter, whole family down to her new school to do the mad rush of fitting for uniform, textbooks, that kind of a thing. So it's been quite busy both on the
Did
personal and the
you say
work
you're gonna
front.
bring
Wow.
your daughter and her family to out
Oh, no,
to
the
go?
family, the family will, yeah, go
Her
to the
your
new
daughter
school
and
to
her family. I'm like, oh,
daughter and
that's
the
really
family.
young.
That will be a problem for me. So,
No, I mean like sexual maturity is nothing for me to
no,
pass
no,
a
not yet, not
comment
yet.
on.
No, no, no.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's been interesting. I think next year, well, even before next year's, I got enough to keep me busy right all the way through, and new to the job, not so much leave to clear. So yeah, it's a good kind of a reset, and yeah, going to be kept busy all the way through 2023. Pretty much it.
Okay, that's good.
What about you guys?
What about Jen?
Oh, about me, huh? I was just thinking about it. I was like, oh, it's probably my turn next. Let me think, what have I been doing? So beforehand, I was definitely concentrating more on, like working from home, helping where I can at our company, J29 Creative Group, and trying to balance the children. Now I have, of course, this is post-COVID. Thank you, Jesus. Everybody goes back to school. Thank God. I have been celebrating and taking Aldrich's advice, or all of you guys. I went back to work. I am full-time. I am 100% in. I've taken on HR roles, doing payroll for our company, doing hiring. Yes, I had to fire somebody. That was very hard. And so, just kind of learning some new skill sets, learning how to fit into certain roles. And we've been growing and expanding the company. So it's been, I have to say, it's been a blast. There has been moments that are stressful, but that's just watching something grow that you are working hard for, that you're putting the effort in. And it's just been amazing. I mean, it's just behind the scenes, the things that are happening, even going into 2023, are incredible. I can't wait, I love being part of the journey. And so I think this is the first year at J29 that I've actually really been all in and worked very hard. In fact, my husband's been going, wow, you have been working hard. So,
now she talks about work when I don't want to talk about work. For the first time. First time, I was like, hey, can I not talk about work?
It's something that we see post-pandemic. I see that a lot too in my colleagues, clients, and let's say prospects. Now, a lot of them, I think, they are more positive in their thinking, their outlook, and their behaviors when we have something to look forward to. So let's say going to work now, so long as you're not one of those quiet quitters or you're on the quiet firing list, I think it's actually not too bad to be in the workplace. Stress is stress, but
good to see you. It's been a long time.
Hi, Jacqueline.
Yeah, so I think it's a good thing. It's really a good thing.
I could definitely say that I grew during the pandemic. So when you come out of it and you're like, you feel freedom. You feel, I'm thankful for everything I have. I'm thankful for the relationships that I have. I'm thankful that I can get out of this darn house, which I'm also thankful for the house. But it's just nice to just break free from that and to get out and to release creativity and to see where can we go with this.
Now she knows what I love. Now she gets to experience why I love work, and she used to complain about why I'm always no, just joking.
Yeah, so I think I really have fallen in love with the business and with building it, and it's been amazing, and it's going to be amazing for 2023. So that's mostly what I've been up to. Sometimes I have to remind myself, you have kids, they need you, and so trying to balance that. But that's pretty much what we've been up to. And then Kevin and I are celebrating our 13-year anniversary in a couple days.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So we're excited to get away for Christmas and celebrate.
Take a deep sigh. 13 years.
I know. Yes. 13 years. We can still work.
A new number begins.
we can still work side by side.
And for me, I'm the opposite. I miss working from home. So I told Jen the pandemic was my the longest vacation I ever taken in my whole life. It feels like vacation. I was like, man, the pandemic was like a walk on the park. I was like, everything's so relaxed, right? And now it's back to like, I mean, I'm still on LinkedIn, doing live shows and different things, but more community outreach. But I'm not near as active regards to creating content during the pandemic as well, because I definitely.
That's not true, right? You've been running a Zero to Hero every week.
Yeah. I'm active on that.
I see that on YouTube. Yeah.
Yep. As a live
Oh,
show.
you're referring to LinkedIn.
Yeah,
You're
so
referring to
that's
LinkedIn.
more, on LinkedIn and here. I do it more as like a community outreach in my community. But regards to like coming out with personal content, I think I'm very much in the same boat as Eldrick. And I'm a digital marketer, so I have to still live in the space and look at it. But, I just feel there's just so much. Uh, and it's the life cycle of social media, right? I think LinkedIn's reach where now is where Facebook used to be, very similar. And people blame the platforms, but it's you guys, the people, the creators, So don't blame anyone. It's not the platform. So you put the content in the platform. So the humans are the problems. So we're the problems, and I think human nature, social media is awesome, is a mirror for human nature. So somehow, eventually, these platforms is a frame, and the stuff we put out there is actually human nature. We are all greedy. We're all we like to talk about ourselves. We're all self-centered. We like to compare ourselves to others. We like to our authentic is showcasing our highlight reel, because that's our idea of being authentic, is to be something you are not. 21-year-old CEOs act like they're multimillionaires and live a life that everyone wants, right? That's social media in a nutshell. And I'm a digital marketer, but then there's reality of life. The reason I'm not on the platform as much, because, hey, growing a company takes work.
Yes, a lot of work.
The last thing on my list is, and I tell my clients, you got to create content, but hey, guess what? Number one is you got to be able to sell your product and services. You still have to work it. So, okay, social media is not going to bring you a pot of gold, and so don't depend on social media for your pot of gold. Marketing's marketing. The billboard, the TV commercials didn't bring you a pot of gold. You still have to work the business. And I think we live in a world we forget that. All of a sudden, marketing's to blame. But I went all in on social media content and stopped working. Hey, Kevin, why is my revenue going like that? Oh, because you went all in on content and took a vacation, for 2022.
The real work.
It doesn't work that way. So,
I guess there's been a.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Audrey.
Go ahead, Jeremy. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say there's been probably a big shift, right? I mean, pre-pandemic, everything was like as per normal. You do what you need to do in your physical world. You go to the office, you go to trade shows, especially trade shows. I got kind of a good feeling about those. I'll talk a little bit on that later. And then your revenue comes in. Social media was more of a by the way. If you have it, that's great. Topping on the cake, all that kind of good stuff. And then the pandemic hit, and that was the only way any business could do an outreach to anyone globally or regionally, or it couldn't go out. That's the only way, right? So everyone was on social media. And then now the shift is going back to, trying to be back to normal. And then I think that's where, you see a lot less activities on LinkedIn and other social media platforms for certain industries. And I was going to say a little bit about trade shows. I had a bit of experience during this period in the new company. I think people were generally nicer at trade shows, very forthcoming. It was more like hey, I haven't seen you guys in 2 years, 3 years, or you hear a lot of conversations like, I've not met you in the past 2 years. We've been communicating, so this is how you look like, that kind of a feeling. And it used to be in the past when you have trade shows, people just walk by and see if there's any physical brochures. We don't even have that anymore. Everything is QR code scan and you download the brochures, any goodies to take. And then, they would even come in, they just walk away. But I do see that, based on the two trade shows I was in, one was in Europe, one was in Asia, both sides, it's the same feeling. People really just want to come and communicate and get back in touch. So that was really nice. I think we can get away with that for a while, and maybe the next 2-3 years or so, before we turn back to the hostile exhibition kind of a trade show kind of environment again. but I'll enjoy it while it lasts. And yeah, I'll say that to that for now, in terms of how things are becoming different, switching back to a normal mode.
I think the mindset's different too. I think people are more grateful for the relationships they have. They look at life differently. They look at work different. I think people are a little more forgiving now too to their coworkers and different things. And I think companies are learning too with the great, what do you call, resignation in the US especially. I think companies are slowly learning. The reason is not there's no workers out there. There's a lot of workers out there. It's just that the culture and the way you manage people has to change. And I think a lot of people don't want the just 8 to 5, there has to be something more, right? I think people now are more open to entrepreneurship. Trying to do their own thing. And I think the idea of going to college is changing too. How much we want to really pay to go college and how much we get out of it.
How much you want to be in debt for.
Yeah. Because, they went online for years, during the pandemic.
They got educated.
Yep. So I think the classroom and the workplace is changing the model of online learning, even trainings. I think companies, like even with us, a lot of clients, like sometimes they want to just do their training or onboarding over Zoom still, even though we're back in place, because they feel like, hey, we can save so much more time, right? Instead of driving to the office. And
so I actually wonder you guys' take, wonder what you would say about this, because I noticed the trend, especially during COVID, was we're not happy where we're at. We're kind of in a intermediate place, like we're going to, for example, he was talking about getting educated online while they're at home. They might still be working a job, but they're also, and then a lot of them have quit and become coaches. They're like, I don't like how I'm being treated. I feel I know a lot. I'm good at what I do. So I'm going to go start my own business, and I'm just going to coach people in what I know. Or sometimes what we don't know, but, there's people have become influencers, especially YouTubers have grown, and TikTok and, coaches and that's not all bad. But then I think once COVID is over, my question is, do you feel like some of those people are shifting back into jobs at this point, into the job market, or do you think they're trying to continue to maintain the coaching and influencer statuses?
I don't think so. I think a lot of them are going back to work. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not binary. So first of all, it's not binary. So there are influencers who used to depend on what they do during the pandemic, and now that they are back at work, they still continue to do what they're doing. So it's not binary. But what I'm trying to say is that I think by and large, more people are going back to work. And one observation that I have, I think still rings true. I think a lot of influencers, they are broke. Forget about the backgrounds that they are taking their photos with, man. I mean, like, seriously, you don't even know if that's theirs, or the background is real, or if they stand behind a helicopter or jet.
Well, and a lot of them, like, people don't understand the reality of influencer too, because you notice, like, after the pandemic, a lot of people committed suicide. A lot of influencers in the US, very famous influencers, commit suicide, and people wonder why. And then, a lot of them are struggling, and it's just hidden, so, yeah.
But I think that has to do with, like, sometimes it's financial stuff that's happened during the pandemic and then coming out of it, because we've had a lot of inflation. I think some of it is, just depression and mental health. Like, all of a sudden, what do we do now? Like,
well, I think sometimes you have to keep up with that lifestyle that you put off on the internet too, right? When you're an influencer, like, Us, it doesn't matter because none of us have influence.
We're not
so-
trying.
No one's even listening to our show. We're just talking.
we're just talking, and we just happen to hit the live button. And
Hey, I'm not trying to make a living off this live show.
Jen, maybe just to answer your question, I'm not sure, I don't know enough, but I would think that those who have found a way to do coaching and all that throughout the pandemic and found a way to make it work would probably continue with that. Those who tried or started during the pandemic but didn't get any traction because they just only started during the pandemic would probably still be trying or making both work, get a job, maybe working as you working on that. I think that will be probably the most realistic approach most people would take. Yeah.
I know some of my friends in Singapore and US side have slid back into very good positions, but still will do things on the side, for extra money, the things that they were doing during the pandemic, because they've already built some audience that still wants to continue that. But I was just curious, on the Asian side, what you guys have seen. So because LinkedIn definitely filled up with coaches, and I understand why. It's not necessarily all a bad thing, but they're, that's.
I think especially for, I think Audrey will agree, especially for Singapore, the inflation is just crazy. And I'll not be surprised that, people who have, who used to be struggling on to be an influencer or struggling to say make money on YouTube will be struggling even more now. So it would make good financial sense to get a stable job just purely because of the inflation. Really.
How do you feel post COVID, since I haven't gotten to personally talk with you guys for quite a while? How do you guys feel post COVID in Singapore, like after all of it's over? Like, are there any restrictions or things that you're still having to do within the workforce, like out in the office? Are you guys still doing hybrid, like you're doing some remote, some office? How does that look now for you guys?
For me, it's more of a physical office per se. It's more of a hybrid, 3 days in the office, 2 days up to you, that kind of a situation. Yeah, but because I interface globally, so that doesn't really quite apply but I still, for me, as much as I can, I will get into the office because, new guy, need to establish rapport with people, and then people come in different days. So it makes sense for me to be there as much as I can so that I can interact with different people and establish a kind of a relationship.
I know what, sorry to interrupt, but
it's okay.
As far as establishing rapport, I know what will really work. You just say, hey, you guys, come on, let's go get some Sichuan dumpling and I pay. That's it. That's it. Yeah, I literally just, and I love doing it, and I'm sincere. I'm not just
and you're expensing it off to J29.
That's right. But hey,
that's part of HR.
What? Hey, I don't want these relationships.
That's right. But I established, first of all, it's mostly been coffee for me, not a lot of food, but I establish a relationship. I have time to sit with them and get to know them and build rapport. I 100% authentically enjoy getting to know those people. And so for me, it's not a waste of time. And then I've also garnered business out of it, but it's very relational. And so even though I was kind of making a joke, because now one of my favorite things is around the corner from us, there's a bowling Chinese restaurant, and I go there for they're the owner's from Hong Kong, and I go there to get my Sichuan dumplings. So that's I have tea time with them all the time, the owners. Yeah.
There's something about Hong Kongers and Kansas, huh? Is there a reason?
There's not very many. There's actually not very many. So when you run into them, you value them, because you don't see very many Hong Kong people here that speak Cantonese. No. So they're right around the corner from our office. In fact, one time the owner came up and joined us, and we had a 2-hour tea time at our office. Nice. Just because he's got all those great teas, but those kind of things actually, they really do make a difference. You know, food, drink.
So
really...
while Jen likes to talk about food, I want to talk about Eldrick. What's your take on some more recent like Chat GPT?
Well, it's very interesting. I actually played with it
because you're a writer, so I wanna. Yeah.
So everyone is like trying to cast the doom and gloom dark clouds over online writing because of ChatGPT. You type in a query and it will spit out like 800 plus to 1,002 to 1,000 plus words like in a split second. And everyone is saying that, oh, you know, it's going to take over the online writing world. All the online writers are going to be crushed, so on and so forth. No, not really. Try asking ChatGPT, you know, very, very twisted questions. Like,
and they can't.
Yeah. Just ask things that what humans are really good at in terms of imagination. Like, you just type how would it feel if a cat have sex with a dog? Wow, I'll tell you, it's all crap. You read it, you're like, okay, we're not there yet. Or like, how intelligent is a dolphin compared to a monkey?
Oh, you know what? I like that example. I like that example better.
Intelligence is this is the definition. Social intelligence is this. Monkey is this, and so it's still no. I do think it will clear away a lot of the wannabes. I do think that it gives clarity to people who wants to give online writing a shot in a way that don't write objective things anymore. If anything, what ChatGPT does is it learns a lot. So like machine learning, it learns a lot from the objective things that are there in Google and Wikipedia.
Yep.
So if you there's still a lot of things you can do writing online to earn for a living, let's say, or earn a cup of Starbucks a month, which is how it's like when you first start off. So write something that is inherently human, and what you believe in is AI can't do anything with that. You can't, because your experiences are still unique to you, and the way we express ourselves, there's no algorithmic structure to expression. None.
Well, I feel it comes out very professional because I've played with it a little bit. It comes out very professional, a very good format, and then you can make little changes, but it will never have the expression. I don't think they can ever get the human emotion and the expression.
It doesn't have the creativity, right?
Yes, that you would have, that you would be able to add, that a true writer would be able to. I don't think it could write an emotional book that it just makes up. That's a storyline is something that we create.
I haven't played with it, but I do think that there's two things you cannot replace, for human writing. Number one would be the personality of the writer, or experience, that kind of thing. Because, style, personality, I think that has to be consistent with that writer. And if it goes through something that's algorithm or machine learning, it will not be consistent. That's number one. And the second thing, really, emotion, but I would term it more on conviction, on what you believe in what you're writing. I don't think something that is, AI can have that. Or maybe over time it will develop the intelligence, but I don't think at this stage yet. Those will be the two things that I think it's gonna not replace humans for. No way.
And it spits out a barrage of words, right? There's no specific paragraphing, or let's say the limitation of maximum of 3 sentences per paragraph for reading, for smoothness of reading. It does not level, let's say, a long sentence, short sentence, long sentence, or short, long, short, or 1 sentence, 3 sentence, 1 sentence. No. So I don't really think so. But I think it's nice. I mean, like if you need a barrage of words in 5 minutes,
inspiration, a certain direction, right? Writer's block.
High school, I guess it helps. I think the boys would enjoy it more. Like, I can use this to write my essay.
So in a sense, I mean, from my experience at least, it's been pretty precise and pretty clear and very informational. So I think the thing is, it's more informational. So it's like you're Googling a topic, and
yes, more like
there's
Googling.
it's
Yep.
more like a Google. So for example, I think it's really good for social media content when you are, like you said, you're needing inspiration, you're needing an idea. I think
Well, if
AI,
you're trying to
works really.
research like a
Mhm.
business, right, and they
Yes.
have a certain engineer product, right, and you need information, yes. But from a creative writing content, it doesn't work that way.
So
But if you need to learn more about, the cat, the ignition to the Toyota truck or whatever, then you can
Or
get
if
some
I'm,
data.
It can-
or if
informative
I'm a,
data.
Right,
or
in
if I'm a
detail.
social, if I'm a social media influencer and I want to put something on LinkedIn, say I want to write about, say, leadership. I have a writer's block today, and just like, what can I talk about leadership? And maybe something comes out and just pick off there and give me a direction, some inspiration to write my blog or something.
You'll be
that's one way.
surprised. It'll actually be really good. It won't be like Aldrich writing it or some very good, but it will be
good
very
enough.
well done. Yeah, it's very
good
well
enough
done.
to pass off as something Jeremy writes.
It passes off as better than what I write, so we're good. But yeah, I was gonna say though, I've never played with it as far as like asking it a joke, like to tell a joke or something. Like I've never
can't tell, like,
see, I've never done that,
stuff
it's
like
just
that.
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
treat it as you can treat it as a tool for direct search.
Yeah.
Or I think that's fine. It's like how we use Google is a direct search, so that's what search engines are really good at. But
Like a
let's say
research
that,
paper.
yeah, but if you're writing something along the lines of, let's say, copies, because copies come with an intention, right? Everything is supposed to be a funnel. It leads to your call to action, and every call to action should then bring you to where your funnel is, so on and so forth. So you have your impressions, you have your traffic impressions, lead conversion, funneling, right? That ChatGPT can't do. So what we should focus on from a more commercial perspective, or from growing your own online empire, so to speak, do something that's more human-like, more serendipitous. It will work. It will still work. You get any professional copywriter to comment on ChatGPT, they'll laugh. They'll be like, "Geez, thanks for spitting out the words. Maybe I can rearrange them. I can do it, but nah, this is not gonna fly. Not in that way."
That's good. So, next question: what do you think of the stock market?
We're digging deep. We're digging deep now. It's going deep here into the financials.
We're doing predictions for 2023.
2023 predictions.
Yes. Across
well,
everything, financials, like business. Come on, Aldrich.
I think there's not gonna be anything that is catastrophic in a way that is going to plunge in a week. I don't think so, because if you do follow and observe the US, let's say US as a leading indicator of how the world is doing, and you look at the three major indices, year to date since the start of January this year, S&P has been down 30%. We are in a recession. Forget about whether the technical definition of a recession is this or that or this or that, but we are in it. And the only reason we don't feel that there's a financial depression is because the indices are taking their own sweet time to drop. So you don't feel a thing. It's like dum, 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 zigzag, dum, 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 zigzag, dum, 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 zigzag. So the only obvious ones are the big tech. So if your portfolio are all the FANG stocks, I mean, like, it's painful. But if you do active trading on what you have, then, and you can short, meaning you can earn while the market goes down, to you it's like, hey, it's not too bad. And no, I don't see anything catastrophic. And of course, for with due respect to Jeremy, I think the thing that it's really blowing up now in terms of the contagion effect, of course, is the crypto space. A lot of Kevin O'Leary, right, one of the sharks, he got killed. He got killed by it, and the media is eating him alive for his ambassadorship to FTX.
No, not just him.
And
not
he
just
got
him.
grilled in Congress.
I think not
like,
just him, right? The celebrities
a
which
lot.
who endorse all the NFT stuff are also getting into problem with the ape stuff. Yeah. So
yeah, and it's kind of interesting, right? Because you have so much Gen Z influencers and different people jumping onto this NFT and doing NFT.
And now with the fallout,
and now it's like, hey, what happened? No one's talking about, I don't hear now Gary Vee's talking about plush toys at Toys R Us versus what happened to his V friends.
Right? Yeah.
NFTs.
They're still running, right? V friends.
They're still running, but he made it into a product, the Toys R Us comeback. And and then you just don't hear, anymore like people talk about crypto, or it's got really quiet.
Really quiet. Whatever they're talking about, it's nothing.
And
good,
same thing. What happened to Metaverse?
that sort of ended with
hey, you attended a conference, right? Didn't you, Kevin?
Yeah, I went to a Meta conference, but it's more for
not the Metaverse
Oculus. They're trying to push Oculus into more.
It's a 2-day. What
it's just a more 2-day workshop for small, medium businesses. I think it's more Facebook's way to make a comeback.
But what do you do there? Like what they're doing with you?
Oh, we're an agency, so we're just meeting small business owners, and so we're Meta partners or Facebook partners. So.
And are they gonna lease you some Oculus for free for 6 months or?
No, it was more just we are there to help, small business owner leverage.
But that's the thing, right? That was
the Meta
the thing, right? If the metaverse worked, that physical meeting wouldn't take place. It would have taken place in the metaverse.
Yep. And I think it's just hard. I think it's hard to adapt, right? I think the human element, we still want relationships. We still want to see people live. I don't think we're quite there yet. The technology is not there yet, Yeah.
So are there any clients actually inquiring about metaverse?
No.
No one cares, right?
No, and I think that what we went to isn't even really focused on metaverse. Is more is Facebook, way of introducing their branding as Meta versus Facebook.
I think that's kind of like the problem, right? In terms of some of the woes that the tech companies are facing, many read that the trend will continue post-pandemic, and they were doing all sorts of investments based on pandemic trends, which of course we know now that's not lasting, because humans tend to be forgetful and they want the next new thing, which is now in trend, is the physical side of things. And you see,
yep,
you see that a lot with retail, right? Forecasting about online shopping is gonna go in such a huge trajectory because the past 3 years has been awesome, and now they overhire it and they
and now online marketing's going down. I mean, online retail is going down because even in America, this is like one of the biggest people going shopping ever, because even Amazon's gone down.
Yep, they had to let people go and all that. So I think that's fundamentally really the big issue with tech companies.
And this is something I'm really excited about, right? And then TikTok, right? No one agreed with me for a long time. Oh, TikTok's gonna be the next big thing. TikTok this, TikTok that. Everyone I meet, Kevin, why your marketing agency don't focus on TikTok? And I was like, you gotta understand my culture. I'm Chinese. Come on, people. It's like a Chinese person's gonna understand how Chinese work more than a Caucasian person. That's just, I grew up, as much I'm American, I grew up in the culture. I'm very Chinese. And I was like, I knew with the relationship with China and the US, I don't know how long. I think it's just hanging right now, right? It's just a matter of time, right? Because now the left and the right is saying, hey, let's ban TikTok, so I think it's a matter of time. And I feel bad because I knew a lot of even agency owner, they went all in. They dumped their whole marketing agency. Just focus on TikTok only, and I go, you never dump everything on one platform, because I don't care if it's LinkedIn. I mean, Facebook's a good example. 5 years ago, no one would believe me if, hey, Facebook will go away, right? And I mean, now it's kind of struggling. It's not where it used to be. And same thing with LinkedIn, right? Everyone was super excited about LinkedIn, and people aren't. There's a life cycle in social media, right? MySpace, Tumblr.
Kevin, Jennifer is waiting to come in.
Yep. Is she back?
Yep.
I don't see her.
What about those big
My
events
apologies.
like? No problem, Jen. Welcome back.
So I think
big
that's
events.
I think that's
like
yep.
Sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say big events like the Russian war and all that, and then influencers in Russia practically could not get onto platforms, and then that's the end of their livelihood because they have no access to Instagram, that kind of a thing. So trends and anything could happen these days with all this kind of
I think it's
short lifespan.
I think it goes back to what we talk about a lot in Bottoms Up, right? You can't depend on trends. You got to use social media, all these things as tools, but it can't be your way of living. You have
That's
to
fair.
find what's your skill set. You have to work hard. I mean, nothing's going to replace working. You have to have some kind of value that you can bring to people besides being good on social media. There has to be something more, right? And social media can get you so far, but social media is always changing, right? Marketing is always changing, but it's understanding the fundamentals of marketing that matters, right? The fundamentals is always the same. And I mean, people argue. I was talking to a Gen Z, not that all Gen Zs, but it just happens. I was talking to someone that was in the Gen Z era, and they were arguing with me, the textbook change and blah, blah, blah. And in my mind, I was like, well, college teaches you the fundamental. Just like the code I learned in college, I was a software engineer. No one codes with it anymore, but I understand the fundamental of how code works, how an array works, how
principles
statement, the principles, right? So therefore, when I'm working with developers now, I can see who has a clean code, who's trying to rip me off and cheat me, even though I might not know anything about their way of writing code because it's more modern and newer, but I know the basics, the fundamental. And people forget that, right? Marketing's the same. Even though Jeremy C and I are older, and maybe but the basics of winning attention, the way conversions is all the same. It's the basics, and then we get stuck on platforms.
It's down the tools,
we get stuck on the tools. Don't get stuck on the tools. And a scary place, because I tell these young people, I go, well, get back to the basics, know the fundamental first, and then you can jump from MySpace to TikTok to, it's all the same. You're muted,
Jen, you're mute.
I'm sorry about that. So something, it may be a little bit off topic, but it kind of goes along with what you're saying, is I love how, like, for example, we have a new Capital One cafe that opened in our city, close to where we have our office. And so it is literally a cafe, and anybody can go in there and get a latte or coffee or snacks. It's beautiful. And so they've taken a lot of their online relationships and begin to move it offline, because with the way that marketing's going, like you said, it's not just the platform, it's going in the area of relationship. It's always been about relationship, but now we're starting to talk about it and say, hey, this is about forming a relationship, about building rapport, about having trust. So now it's marrying my favorite thing, which is coffee culture, with come in here and
with bank loans.
You can bank here. You can bank here. You can get advice, but there's no pressure. You can use our ATMs as you walk through the door, but there's no pressure.
They give you a free coffee, the latte like Starbucks, but then they make it all back with the interest rate.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So anybody that's a Capital One user feels appreciated, because if you use their services, which Kevin and I have a credit card through them, you get half off. Okay. I don't remember the last time that I've paid $3 for a latte. It's usually 6 or 7, especially with inflation. So they've taken something off of their platforms and put it into real time, and created an experience that makes people feel appreciated, that invites people to come in and have meetings or meet their friends or do business. And I guess when I was listening to Kevin, when you're talking about the fundamentals of marketing, they always stay the same across the board. Mm-hmm. And there's what we call classic, like the color white and black. It's a classic. It's been there. It's always been there. It always will be there. And I think that, in marketing, which is what we deal with on a daily basis, relationship is the classic. Well, we don't sell marketing, we sell relationship.
Well, it's very interesting because if, I'm coaching my son's 4th grade basketball team. So I've been in this basketball thing, right? So it's interesting, like if you listen to, they ask Kobe and they ask, Steph Curry and all these great basketball players, right? And they ask them like, hey, how do you do this move or that move? All these like amazing things. And then Kobe and Steph and Michael Jordan, they all say the exact same thing. They go, it's actually just six basic moves, but we practice it day in, day out since we were little kids, over and over again. Yep. And it's just a little change of a jump shot that becomes Michael Jordan's fadeaway, right? But because we practice so much the basics, when someone locks me over to the left or to the right, I've done the basics so many times, so it doesn't affect me missing the shot. Yeah. But it's all just the basic things you learn in elementary basketball. And they all say that. So there's a reason, right? Because I think we sometimes get stuck on the shiny object or all this cool looking stuff. And they said the biggest mistakes is they see kids coming through the rank and they try to do their like really cool shots that they're doing instead of practicing the basics. But there is the basics that help them create these really amazing looking shots, right? And I think it's the same thing in professional world. There's people that come out off the gate and they all want to be Gary Vee or these successful Grant Cardone, But honestly, these people are just basic. Is the fundamental of selling. They're just good salesmen. They know how to sell. It's just very basic things, build rapport, build a relationship, overcome your objectives. It's always been the same.
I was going to school to be a barber back in the 90s, early 2000s. And that's just kind of the direction my parents pointed me at that point. And because they thought, well, you're creative, so just go cut hair, And I was like, okay, that's just what they said. You're creative, just go do something with your hands. And so I stepped out in that direction. And there might be people that argue this point, but basically we were sold on the idea there's 6 basic haircuts. Only 6. You do them over and over and over. And sometimes the simplest haircut was the hardest one to do because it had to be perfect. And then everything else is just technique that you use to change the style up. like point cutting and, you know, giving it texture and things like that, or the tools that you can use. So it kind of goes along with what you're saying. And I think a lot of industries are actually like that. It's just most people don't get into every industry. They only know one or two. So, yeah. Thoughts, Aldrich? I saw you when I was talking about we don't sell marketing, we sell relationships. And you're like, And I was like, I wonder where his brain was going there.
No, because it's I don't see one thing as one thing. When every skill set that you develop, you talk about the iterations of the basic moves, and that everything in every field that is worthy of our time to explore, there are only X number of basic moves.
Yep.
But it's about the person, you know. It's not about those moves. You can see people who, let's say, grandmaster chess players. You can feel it. The move. Every chess player plays those moves. Oh, come on! I mean, like, how bishops have to be moved diagonally, right? That's about it, right? I mean, like, what creativity is that?
Same rules, yes.
Yeah,
for every game.
But when the grandmasters, they sit and they play, you can feel that something is really different. Like they have internalized all the moves into them. They are the moves. So every high income skill, or let's say if you're in affiliate sales and you don't really bother how the organizations deliver things, you just sell. And if you are really, really good at your sales stuff, to be honest, there's only so many respectable objections. There are millions of permutations of sales objections, let's say millions, billions. But once you really understand like why people say no or yes to you, you pretty much get it. And you carry yourself very differently. You see that in martial arts too. You see that in let's say basketball. You see that in hockey, writing. Everyone writes. Like come on, like every single motherfucker writes. Okay, you might not blog.
I write,
emails, right?
and I'm not one of those.
You write social media content, right? Okay, you write WhatsApp text, right?
Yes, sir.
The people who write every day, maybe today one article is on this particular skill set, the next day is a different kind of article, it's a listicle, the next day is a how-to, the next day is a how I would be, right? But as they write more and more, you realize that you cannot copy their stuff. Even if you copy their stuff. That's the revelation that I had. Like,
or you can't get up and express it like they can.
I can copy. There's nothing stopping me from copying the entire blog article from a very successful blogger. Nothing. I mean, ethics will stop me, or because of my vanity or whatever, but I can do an entire Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V from online, paste it, and then publish it. I'm not going to get his results. Now, everything is exactly the same. Why am I not getting his results? Now, that is the question. The question is, it's not
because you don't have the following he has.
No, it's not that.
Because you weren't good before you pasted that. So
people can tell. People can tell. You look at grandmasters. The moment you look at them, you have. Yep, that's correct. You look at
that's why they're good.
Taekwondo black belt. Those who are battle hardened, you can tell. Like, see you next time. I'm out of here. Right. So that there are those. I do think that the perfection of the basics will account pretty much 80% of the journey. And that takes a long time. And a lot of people miss this.
Yes. And people forget, I love what you just said. Perfection of, the journey, right? And it takes time. And it's like, the guy that, cooks really good Peking duck, right? And he's 70, 80 years old, but he's cooked it since he was 15, And I think we miss that in the world we live in today. We want everything so fast. We, like I hear these young people, oh, Kevin, what's your goal? Income. Oh, 6 figures. And I'm like, oh, really? Right out of college, or, $200,000, you know, videographer. Or
Yeah,
this and that.
welcome to
And I'm like,
Americans.
oh, okay.
American
And it's like,
food.
it's a change in mindset because I mentor a lot of young people. I'm around young people and I'm like, hey, it takes time, right? To perfect a skill. There's no longer that art. And I can say, because, you know, I do have East roots. I think in Asia culture, there's a little more like the craftsman or the master, you know,
The artisans,
yeah, there's still that in Asia, right? People who,
especially in Japan,
do all the wood stuff, right? Because they've done it so many. But I feel, and nothing against, you know, American culture, but I feel there's lack of, because we depend on all this technology or all these things, and or there's just not much artisan, right? Everything's done by a machine, or you know, we just do it okay, but we sell it for a lot of money, right?
I think I can speak from I can speak from a Caucasian perspective, not even just an American, but also as an American. I think a lot of it the culture starts in our homes. And our culture doesn't teach repetitive discipline, repetitive action, conditioning. We don't teach conditioning. Oh, you don't feel like doing that? Okay, just don't worry about it.
Or do something else.
Or do
do something else that you like. Well, what does that mean? No one likes to work, you know.
No, but I'm talking about.
I'm like, you don't like this?
I'm talking about even in our day-to-day parenting, though. They don't feel like doing something. We're like, okay, I just don't. I don't.
That's
feel
what
like,
I mean, though.
I don't feel like forcing you. So if I don't force you and I don't train you and condition you to whether you feel like it or not, you do it, then you don't have that built into you.
Yes, we're missing that perseverance, right?
Yes.
Okay, guys,
right?
if I may, I just need to round it up because I really need to go. I think I'll just bring back the same point when we talk about the ChatGPT thing, right? I mean, the two things I mentioned, really consistency and conviction. I think that's what differentiates people who know the basics, but if they don't have the consistency to keep practicing it, and they don't have the conviction, something internalized, like exactly what Audrey said, you're not gonna get anywhere. You're not gonna get anywhere. So that's a little bit for me.
I have one final thing to say as well because I have to rush off to a meeting. Just to mention, just to add on to what I mentioned just now and a response to Jennifer, it's like cooking. Mastery is like cooking. You can buy a cookbook that's written by Gordon Ramsay. You can follow every single damn thing, 10 steps to make the beer battered fish and chips by Gordon Ramsay, but the output that comes out is going to be very different from that guy who wrote the cookbook and sold it to you. And you follow exactly the same damn thing. So that's what I'm trying to say. It has to be internalized. Otherwise,
and even Gordon Ramsay, maybe 20, 30 years ago, whenever he started, he wasn't what he is now either. He had to repetitively do the same things over and over and get better at it. And so, like, as I was thinking about
millions of fish and chips.
Yeah,
done in his lifetime.
And I think it's to sum it up, to wrap it up, because I think we all have to go. But it comes down to, don't be a master of none because you don't put the time in, right? It's only time. Through time is when, I don't care what you do, right? You know, the longer humans are like wine. It takes time. The longer we sit, the more it's through our experiences, through our journey. So if you're a young person, experience life, go do some stuff. And I'm not saying, hey, young people can't be good at stuff. They can, right? Because there's still that God-given talent, and some people are really sharp. But think about how much sharper that young person will be 30, 40 years from now, mastering their craft that they're already naturally talented at, right? So it's like seeing Michael Jordan play when he first came into the league and then seeing him play at his prime, right? It's that same person, but he mastered the craft. So as we end tonight, as you go into 2023, hey, if you feel like you're just repetitively doing the same thing over and over and over and over, hey, one day you will master it. And yeah, just keep on that journey. Don't give up. So, and we try to master our craft of doing live shows. And we're not consistent, so we're master of none. So
All the best. See all of you in 2023.
Happy holidays,
All right.
guys.
Happy
Merry
holidays.
Christmas and Happy New
Take
Year.
care.
Bye.
Bye.